Welcome to the Custom Life vlog. We got a really busy week in the shop. We're printing up some shirts for Slam magazine. We have about 7 different designs going down with some shirts and sweaters, but we're starting with this one, which is the OG Slam logo. Let's get rolling. Moving right along on these prints. Just finished this one. Got this one done. So we have like 3 more designs to do. We're back in the shop. We got all the single color stuff done last week for Slammed, and those were the easier shirts to make. The same amount of work, it's just a little easier on the setup and stuff like that. So now we're moving into the multicolor shirts. We have 2 3-color designs going down. We have our Inception print here. We're also working on the very popular quality over quantity shirt. We're just wrapping up all the Slam shirts. We've got all the fronts printed and all the backs printed, and the last thing we need to do is add the tags. And to me, just by doing that little detail really sets this brand apart. Now that we got all the tags done, the last step that we have to do is get everything folded, put in a box, and tomorrow we'll be heading down to Temecula, California to the Slam Magazine FLO Airride manufacturing headquarters to get these things delivered. So we got all the stuff packed in the car. We're ready to head down to the FLO Airride manufacturing headquarters, Slam Magazine headquarters. But as always, the first thing we got to do before we ever leave the desert is wash the car. So this is actually my first time headed down to the new facilities. Mike just opened it up a few weeks ago, and I'm really excited to see what they got going on down there. Things you see cruising down the freeway in Southern California. Well, we made it down here to FLO. Mike's car, right there. Hold on. Mike's car, right there. There's all sorts of cool stuff just laying around this place. Check this out. Dope. All right, let's go inside. See what's going on. So I made it down here to Temecula at the FLO Airride manufacturing Slam Magazine headquarters, and no Mike. So I don't have anybody to drop these shirts off to, so we'll just sit here and wait for him. And when he gets here, we'll introduce you to Mike. Oh look, there he is!
Hey!
Hey, he's back! I was sitting here and I was like, I would like to deliver the shirts, but I don't know when to deliver the shirts to you. What's up, man?
All right, buddy.
How you doing?
Oh, you know, just running like crazy.
This is Mike Alexander. He is the owner and founder of FLO Airride Manufacturing and Slam Magazine. So we're down here, we're delivering these shirts to him, and maybe he might show us around. Let us know what's going on around
Going
here.
wrong.
Going wrong. So this is the shipping and receiving area. This is where Slam Magazine is, I would assume.
This is Slam.
This is Slam.
This is Slam.
Okay, cool.
And then if we go this way, step into my office.
What do you got going on for SEMA? You have 3 builds going on right now?
In theory, there's 5.
Oh, wow.
6 if you count the airbag trailer.
A year ago, about right now, Mike had a truck up in SEMA, in a SEMA booth. What booth was that?
It was an Engine's booth.
It was InGen's booth. And this year he actually has his own SEMA booth. And I mean, for those of you who don't know what SEMA is and stuff like that, SEMA is a pretty big deal in the automotive industry, and especially like our industry, which is like mini trucks, custom cars in general. And having a booth at SEMA is actually a really big deal. I really got to hand it to Mike and his crew that now this year they have a booth at SEMA, and that's a huge deal and a big accomplishment. So that's pretty rad.
High five?
Dude, absolutely.
Don't mind, like I said, keep saying it, don't mind the mess.
So I'm gonna be completely truthful with you guys. Is we had this whole other thing, like film this great conversation, and I messed it up because I'm me. So we're sitting here with Mike Alexander. He's the owner, the founder of Slam Magazine and FLO Airride Manufacturing. So I just wanted to find out a couple things. Like, number one, just give us a little insight on how Slam Magazine started.
Slam Magazine came about in 2014. I was really at a turning point trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up.
Yeah, right. Like we all do.
But in reality, my wife was pregnant, and it was kind of this perfect opportunity, per se, to go all in.
Right.
And take the leap and go into business for myself. For years and years and years, I've always found pleasure in building other people's brands, and like my thing was to help other people and build their brand.
So you wanted to start with something that you started from scratch.
Bring my vision to life.
Yeah, right.
And actually go in it for myself and see what I was capable of. Of course, with a great team. But you never really know what you're capable of until you go 100%.
And you started Slam Magazine in 2014, and that's actually when we started working together.
Yep.
We started working together in the beginning. We've made all the shirts for Slam Magazine and now for FLO Airride Manufacturing. And
T-shirt number 1.
T-shirt number 1. We were there from the beginning. So it's really cool to be able to work with someone and build something in the very beginning with someone and watch it grow. Because now here we are. We're 4 years later, 3 years later.
Yeah, it seems like 4 years. It'll be 4 years in a couple months.
You lose track of the time.
Seems like 20 years.
Right. So here we are years later, and Mike has a booth at SEMA this year, which is a huge accomplishment for FLO. So just to give us a little insight on how FLO started. So where you came off of Slam Magazine and started FLO.
So again, it was just kind of a transitionary period in life. When I was 16 years old, I'll never forget my very first SEMA show. Just like many of you, I shouldn't have been there. I get that.
All right.
Tagged along with the buddies company. But at 16,
like you do.
It was kid and candy store, right? Like walking up and down the aisleways. The weirdest part for me, the draw wasn't the beautiful custom show cars and all the things that we do now. The draw was the people that built the businesses that had the booths. Mm-hmm. At 16 years old, I remember distinctly, how do I be that guy? How do I build a company that employs people and makes great product and contributes to society?
Right.
But doing it the way we do it,
and
with the things we love.
And we're sort of the same way. Is when you start something like when we started our company back in 2003. You were going to these things anyway. So you were going to these shows and you're doing this thing you really like to do. But at some point you go like, how do I do this, but also make money doing it?
How do I pay my bills doing this?
Right. Exactly. I think a lot of things are built out of necessity as well. And that's with your company, like you had to do what you had to do. You had to build your company the way you wanted to build it. And the same thing with us is everything is out of necessity. When we started, we didn't know how to make shirts, so we had to teach ourselves how to make shirts. And then when it came to the point of, doing photography, like, okay, now we made all these shirts, now we need to, take photographs of
these shirts.
Exactly. So we had to teach ourselves photography, and now we're doing these videos, so we had to teach ourselves how to do videos. And I'm sure you had to do the same thing with Slam. Like, you come from a media background. You were the editor of Mini Trucking Magazine for how long?
8 years.
8 years.
At Mini Trucking.
And you started that when?
2002.
So from 2002 on.
You were like 12?
Hey, I'm not that much younger than you. Only a couple years. So you started as editor of Mini Trucking Magazine, and you went on to a couple different other publications and stuff like that. So you already had a real good grasp
Yeah,
on
strong media background.
And so for you, your transition into from working for other publishing companies into starting your own publishing company, which is Rev Media, right?
Yeah, Rev
So
Media
that's the parent publishing company. So what kind of challenge did you face going from working for a publication to starting your own publication?
Numerous. I mean, every day there's a challenge. The number one challenge I think was always authenticity, to keep it authentic. The bigger you get, the more following you get, the more you grow, the more rules and spreadsheets and all the things that we hate about work.
Right. So were you exposed to that more like starting your thing? You were exposed more to that aspect of it. So basically, you saw the other. You were more conscious of the other side.
The other side of it.
Right. So you spent years doing
stupid bean counters. Crap on the bean counter.
Right. Exactly. And so again, that it all comes down to having to do what you have to do to succeed.
Right.
When we started our company, like I said, we had to teach ourselves first how to make shirts, and then how to photograph them, and then how to make videos of them.
You constantly jump off the cliff and kind of build the plane.
So when you started, right? So when you started the magazine, you knew how magazine operated, but then you had to go through and teach yourselves all the extra steps that you maybe weren't aware of before.
Yeah, and also things. I don't know, when it's your baby, you know exactly how it is because you do it with your own stuff. You treat my stuff like your stuff as well. It's gotta be perfect.
Right.
And nothing ever is.
Right. So at some point you just have to put it out into the world and just hope people like it, right? Yeah, no, I completely see that.
And so the shift into manufacturing, that's become a whole different nightmare of challenges because we want everything to be perfect. The compressor, the tanks, everything we touch needs to be perfect. But the real challenge is nothing ever is perfect. But how do you present your customer something that's good, but they can make their own, they can customize, they can add that extra touch.
And that's where FLO comes in with the tanks.
Yeah, and that's where we
completely
transition.
customizable tanks.
Exactly.
And so we saw some shots of that earlier. We saw the end caps, we saw the tubes. So each one of these things is a unique, even though it's a manufactured thing and it's made a bunch of times, each one can be its own custom, like one-off deal.
Yeah, and that was our goal, awesome. Man. Like everybody out there can mass produce a product and give you something that works great. We wanted to give you something that was yours. Make it your own, add your personality to it, leather wrap it, engrave it, do this to it. Here's a canvas, paint it. And that's kind of where we went with our product line, is more the beautification of air suspension. There's a lot of great companies that do a lot of great things with technology on the management side and on other sides. And air supply in itself, compressors, tanks, the mount systems, the air supply side, it's 20 years dated.
Right. And that's where the saying comes from. The art of air. That's what you're creating is the art of air.
So that's what we want to do, is kind of just take an artful or a creative designer's eye to some components that are key and necessary, but let the end user really love and add their touch to it with the perfect canvas. Here's a canvas, please paint it.
That's awesome.
Make it your own.
So we'll see you at SEMA, Mike.
Oh, absolutely.
Thanks for showing us around.
Unless my kid comes.
Well, yes, Mike has another kid on the way, so it's going to be touch and go. But yeah, man, thanks for taking the time with us.
Of course, brother. Thank you, Frank.
See you guys next time.